I want to go over something with you guys concerning Justice Amy Coney Barrett. All right. Back in August of 2021, she did something, which I'm going to talk about. But before that happened, I had a dream about her in July, just the month before, in that same year of 2021. And I've never really talked about this. Maybe have said this to one other person about the dream and then it coming to pass literally a month later. And I'm going to discuss the dream. I'm going to read the dream to you. I'm going to discuss what I believe and understand that the Lord has shown about it, things that have actually happened and come to pass. And let's just say that it's not good for Amy Coney Barrett and the things that the Lord has shown. So just like normal, I'm going to read through the dream for you guys. And it's a little bit of a longer one, and I'm going to try to make it a little bit easier to understand. Mind you, a lot of times when I get these dreams, it's like middle of the night. Like last night I had a dream, and it was at 3 o'clock in the morning when I sat down and typed it out on my phone. So I'm going to have to read through my errors and stuff of typing. But anyways, this dream was back on July 18th, 2021. And mind you, at this time, it wasn't long into her placement into the Supreme Court. So, let's talk about it. Go ahead and start. It says, talk about me, was with two men who were going back to the enemy's camp to win something back. At one point, I was with the lead male and followed along with him. It felt like this dream did a lot of different point of views. It felt like I was watching it from a movie, and then other times I was in it. So I'm going to try to make sure the distinction between, at this point, it was like watching a movie take place, but I was kind of in it as well. It was a dark place, and I keep calling him the lead guy because I don't know who this man was. He was like an undercover agent, I remember specifically, but I did not see his face to be like, oh yeah, it looks like such and such, or anything like that. I just called him the lead guy because he was the one that was leading the way the entire time. It was dark, and the guy that was in the lead said he knew where he was and what he was doing, and he seemed extremely confident in everything that he was doing. Myself, and there was another guy, we did not feel as confident as he did because we had not been here before. We didn't know the layout, but this guy seemed to know that. We knew, me and this other guy, knew that there could be anyone hiding in the shadows as we drove around in this rundown, what looked like an impound place. So if you've ever seen what an impound place looks like, someone where there's just vehicles all over the place, there was also a sense of, I don't know, any kind of bad guy scenario where they're hanging out in a deserted warehouse. It was that kind of vibe the entire time. We somehow get into the enemy's hideout area, and it was clear that the lead guy had already set up a time to meet with the leader of this place. The leader was a woman. She was a mom, and she had a lot of authority. She looked just like Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She required that this lead man take some type of serum in order to make the playing field for their interaction even. So he wouldn't play and then he went to play some type of card game with her. So in this area, when we entered in, again, it's kind of feel like a mafia type situation. And she had this card game at a round table, a lot like poker in many different ways, and play the even field for him to take the serum. So it's like she knew that without him taking the serum that he would clearly overtake her and win the card game. So she made him do that. Even with the serum, he was winning. She then had another syringe with serum ready to shove it into his neck again. At this point, I was the lead man, so I had the perspective of the lead man in the dream. He was quick, smart, and definitely like a secret agent. He told her to get back and that he already took one dose and that was the deal. She had a panic look on her face because she realized she was losing and she didn't want to be seen as a failure. So this lead man grabbed a chair and put it between himself and her so she couldn't reach him. At this point, the other guy that was with us had taken off and was running to his assigned place for escape. Like we had already planned out if things went sideways or whatever. However we had to leave and get out of the place, we knew where we were supposed to go. So he already ran to that place. The lead guy got away, but she quickly called and yelled out for her minion men to go get him. By now, I was in the dream, but like a fly on the wall. So now I have a different perspective. Again, I'm like a fly on the wall. I watched as Justice Barrett came out to where some of her military men looked, they all looked Asian, followed her wherever she went and went wherever she called to. She went up to one of the men, of her military men, and began to make out with him. And when this happened, I heard the word affair. As others of her military crew came, she backed away from him and commanded the room just like she did before. She asked where the runaway man went and if anyone saw him. The guy that she just made out with said that he was a nice man. She looked at him angrily, almost, really, and said, "You talked to him and didn't stop him?" He was unaware that that man was a runaway. He didn't seem afraid of her or the situation, but she had him shot. The one that she just made out with, because he let the man go, she had him shot for treason. The guys then rolled him up in a blanket and then I followed as I was with now the lead man again. So I saw all this happen. They rolled him up and then I left with the lead man as we were running out. Now the lead man was slick, okay? He had dressed up like one of her military men and was completely undercover. No one knew the wiser, okay? So he slipped by all kinds of people. And I remember I was still like a fly on the wall and I was just like hovering over, like running along with him, but like flying as if I was still the fly. But I saw him, he was leaving, okay? And now he got to his getaway car and noticed that there were two people sitting inside. There was a black man in the driver's seat and an Asian woman was in the front passenger seat. The lead man almost expected these two to be there because he knew that they were the smarter ones of her crew. Now, this is the part where it gets a little bit interesting and not sure what happens or what these two people mean. But so he got the black man out of the seat. And like I remember them like wrestling around. He pulled him out of the seat in the car and reached in to feel for the keys in the ignition. The keys were there. So he quickly got in before anyone noticed and drove away with the Asian woman in the front seat with him. She was younger and seemed to not try anything suspicious with this man. The atmosphere in the car was so tense. Like it was a matter of no one wanted to do anything because they were unsure of what the other one would do if they did something. So nobody did anything except for him driving the car. So as they were driving away, the lead man decided to lighten the mood. At this point, he was driving down a main road that had street lights. So it's just kind of like going down, not necessarily a little bit bigger than a small town, okay? Just I guess a regular sized town with the street lights and everything, but there was like nobody on the road. It was like late at night. He asked the Asian woman if she thought he could sing. She smiled and had a feeling that he couldn't sing. There was a little bit of a song left that was playing on the radio, And she never said anything and just gave a nod and smiled to like, go ahead and show me, right? He began to sing the last few lines of the song that was playing. It felt like an older song, but I'm not sure what it was. When he sang the song really well. And then when he was finished singing, he came to a red light and stopped. And then I woke up from the dream. Now, you might have listened to this whole thing and thinking, this doesn't make any sense. How in the world could you have gotten anything from this? And I'm granted there might be some like obvious things, but let me tell you, there is so much to this. I don't even think that I can fully unpack this in a timely manner. So I'm just going to really have to overview things. And I'm sure there's probably even more to it than what I understand, because even while reading it to you now, I'm understanding things about this now that I didn't back then, because other things have happened since 2021. So it's really interesting. So I'm going to do my best to break this down as quickly as possible, so we're not sitting here forever and a day going over this. But I'm just going to say that I believe there is so much more to Amy Coney Barrett that is malicious and undermining that we have yet to see. So let's start at the beginning. All right. It's pretty clear that the enemy's camp is an indication that, and knowing that Amy Coney Barrett was the leader here, that she is someone who is leading the way for the enemy camp. Now, what do I mean by enemy camp? Now, spiritually, that'd be Satan, right? But I believe as far as enemy camp goes here, is talking about those who are going against America and the for America type of mindset, the patriotic love for the country, that these people who are on the enemy lines are the people that are trying to destroy America in one way, shape, or form. Now, this lead guy, I believe, is somebody who has been around the block before. Okay, he's somebody who knows the system in and out, and that's why he's able to set up things and have meetings with people such as her and have conversations, be face to face, play the game, so to speak, since they were playing a card game, play the game, but she was trying to get an even playing field by having him take a serum, which could be an indication of a few different things. First, I thought of, back in this time, I thought of the COVID vaccine. And COVID vaccine was one of the biggest things that I was thinking of, because of not just the fact that we were like at the height of that being pushed, but there was always just talks in this portion of the dream about a serum and a syringe. And, at that time your mind just goes to that. So let me refer it to what actually happened. So what actually happened is in August, early part of August of 2021, the University of Indiana, there were some students there that were wanting the Supreme Court justice to help them overrule this mandate that the school had, that everyone had to have the COVID shot, okay, at the university. She denied it and blocked it. And so when I saw that, I mean, legitimately, I had this dream a month before this. And so in my mind, again, remember, I just told you I was thinking about the COVID vaccine. So I'm thinking, holy cow, she is being like this. And so it was just a huge red flag for me then concerning her, that I was seeing her true colors. I know many people at that time were shocked that she even did that, because she was put into her position by Trump, and yet she went against what most people who voted for Trump at that time were wanting. They didn't want to be forced to have to take a vaccine to be doing different things. And we all know that. We lived through that, okay? So the fact that she went against that was a huge eye-opener for me. And the fact that I had this dream and she was forcing someone to take a serum to even the playing field was not just a play on words for me, but I clearly understood that she was someone that would be forcing that type of mandate. Now, like most things do in dreams, they have more than one layer to them. So beyond that, I believe that this also has a second underlined meaning, okay? Because she made this lead man who'd been around the block before, from what you can clearly tell, he knows the enemy's area. And he's obviously been there before. So she knows that he's smart enough to beat her at a card game. And so she forces him to take a syringe that weakens his abilities. So I'm sure somebody out there in the world has better understandings of things that actually happened in the time frame and who people and all that stuff. I don't, because I don't always keep up with that stuff. But I believe that somewhere along the line she has been or is doing right now this very thing to try to even the playing field. Not necessarily giving a syringe, but you know what I mean. So here in the dream, she notices that even though she and this lead man agreed for him to take the syringe to even the playing field, he was still winning. And because he was still winning, and see, when I was reading this to you, I thought to myself, I wonder if this lead man is actually Trump. Which would put so much of a different perspective on this, but put that on the back burner, okay? Let's just keep going through this for now. She began to panic and had a panic look on her face, and because she realized she was losing, she didn't want to be seen as a failure, okay? So he grabbed his chair, which I put a question mark at this time in my notes, because I have notes, that maybe it was a justice chair that he put in between, or maybe it was just a matter of a chair of the type of role that he had, that he was able to put in between the both of them at that time. And by a chair, I mean like he has some type of authority, a ranking that he's able to put in between himself and her so that she cannot reach him, okay? Which again makes me think that this lead man might be Trump. But anyways, moving on. The other guy that was with us ran off for escape. I never saw the man again in the dream. And this other guy the lead guy was sneaky. He hid as one of her guys, right? One of her military men, her minions. He hid as one of them and she didn't notice. And so he got to see what was happening behind the scenes. Sneaky, but in a good way, right? Because he was able to find out information. Now, what is really interesting is this next section about Amy Coney Barrett that I believe is possibly still happening in this moment. So, one of the military men in the dream, that is one of her fellas, who is Asian. The majority of these are Asian, which should be I need to get me a red flag so I can wave it. That she is in cahoots with China, okay? Just saying, just putting that out there. And so this man and her began to make out. Now, I'm not saying, and even I heard the word affair. I'm not saying that she's having an affair on her husband. I'm not saying that at all. This, to me, indicates a relationship that is possibly a verbal relationship, since they were making out. A connection that she has with somebody that she's either giving information to verbally or receiving information from somebody verbally. Either way, it's a relationship that she's benefiting from. And now, mind you, once the others started coming in closer where they were at, making out, she backed away from him. That way it didn't look like she was having any kind of relations with him. And she again took her authoritative stance and commanded the room. Now, the guy that she just made out with was unaware that the lead guy got away and who he was. He thought he was a good guy. And which could be an indicator. These are important things, because if you end up seeing somebody in the news who might fit the bill of being Asian, thinks that Trump's a good guy, and you find out later that he had cahoots with Amy Coney Barrett, then here we are. But I'm just saying, like, this is important information, and we need to not just neglect the fact of these different actions and ways that people respond in dreams, because they could be actual indicators of people and how they act in real life. So because this man that she was making out with didn't recognize him, he got away, she had someone shoot him. and kill him off. What does this do? First of all, it erases the fact that she had any kind of connection with this man. So she's not going to have to worry about any kind of dead weight around to prove that she's been doing what she's been doing. And secondly, it does cut off her ties with whatever kind of relationship she had. So good and bad thing for her? I don't know. But anyways, as we continue on, we follow... Oh, and they rolled him up in a blanket. And the thing that I put on here is that you die in the bed that you made, is the quote that came to my mind when I wrote it down. So she severs ties with him, literally, and this man literally died in the bed that he made. So sorry for him. And that death could actually be a career death or a literal death, just FYI. Now let's go to the end of this whole thing where we're talking about the lead man goes to his getaway car. He notices 2 people in the front seats. The driver's seat was a black man. At the time, I put a question mark and put Obama question mark. So I don't know. I could not see faces. I don't know who these people were. And then the Asian woman was in the front seat, and I put communism question mark and China question mark. So to me, I thought, well, this could easily be Obama and China cahoots. Who knows? So many people are corrupt in government. We don't know what people are doing, okay? But either way, these were 2 bad people. They were smart. The person who was the lead man figured that they would be there because he knew they were the smarter ones. The lead man has a little tuffle with the guy in the front seat, scoots him to the curb. He gets in the driver's seat, the keys in the ignition, it's already ready for him to go, and he leaves with that Asian woman beside him. And again, it's tense. Again, this could be very well Trump versus China, and there being a tense relationship between the 2 different countries and leaderships, even though it was an Asian woman that was in the front, which could be the sister of, but anyways, moving on. So what I found interesting, okay, they go down a main road that had streets and lights. I believe this is going to be mainstream information. Everyone can see it. It's down the main road. It's all lit up. So what's actually happening is going to be seen by everybody. And I wish I could remember what song was playing on the radio, but I do remember it being like an older song. By older, I mean something like in the 70s or 80s. That was just a very well-known song, kind of like almost like a victory type song, kind of like We Are the Champions, but it wasn't that song. I don't know, you get what I'm trying to say here. But anyways, so she didn't think that he could sing, all right? And the first thing that came to my mind, and it still rings to me now, sang like a canary, okay? So this lead man is about to tell everybody everything, and she's trying to play his bluff, being like, I don't think you can sing. I don't think you're going to tell everybody. I don't think you got the guts to tell everybody everything. And what does he do? He sings. And when he sang it well. And it says, when he sang it well. And then as he was finishing singing, he came to a red light. I remember, it's very vivid. He just like slowly pulled up to the red light and stopped. And then I woke up. Which is almost like an indication that all that chaos and everything will finally come to an end once he sings like a canary and tells everybody everything. So, let me give you my final thoughts on this. Beyond this dream, I remember having at least one other dream about her, but I searched through my files, and I guess I didn't record it. Sometimes I do that because I'm so tired, and then later on I wish I didn't do that because then I don't have all the information. But I remember another dream that I had about her, the little bits that I remember, where she was not doing good stuff there either. So I want to say this, like, I know that a lot of Republicans were excited when she got into the position because of what type of stance she presented to the American people. And we've also seen the different types of stances that she has taken while in the position and how they've gone against a lot of different conservative type of values and morals and things like that. Things that most conservatives would probably vote against, she voted for. Even recently, if you saw at Trump's speech the other night, just how, I'm not sure the best word to use, just how maybe grim and almost angry looking that she had on her face. I'll just put it that way. For whatever reason. We don't know her life. We don't know all the things that are happening. So I just want to say, you know, I don't hate the woman or nothing like that. I actually hope that she needs Jesus just like the rest of us, and that she does right in the position that she's been given, instead of, I mean, like, legitimately, not just right in the sense of being a conservative mindset and everything, but seek God and seek the Holy Spirit for what should I do. You're in a position to rule the whole nation. My goodness, the one you should go to is God himself. So do I think that she has done some shady stuff with some shady people? Absolutely. And I feel like this dream just confirms it, and some things, the way that she's voted for certain things, confirms it for me. So just pray for her that the Lord would convict her in her actions, and that she do things in a very just way. I mean, she is considered a justice. You can't be called a justice and not be just, okay? I mean, you can, but it's not right. And I would hate to be in that position, because God does not like that kind of manner, which is being unjust and unholy and, you know, all of those things. So, and I also think that there's more to this that we will probably see in concerning of China and other stuff like that too. So just be in prayer for the whole situation. I thought I would share this, seeing that she's been talked about a little bit more lately. So pray.